was it? Ever tell you about my, huh?
We're recording.
Yeah, I know. I'll just remind me to tell you about the Playboy model.
Oh, okay. Got you. Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
All righty. There you go. What do you say, Mr. Sinclair?
Afternoon, Butch.
Ready to inform the public?
Let's inform the public. How y'all doing today? We all doing good? We're doing fine. I'm doing fine. Butch is doing great. As always.
Maybe I better start informing the public.
Nah, you good.
So, I always get questions about guard dogs, and I don't say a lot about guard dogs, and there's lots of reasons for it. Mostly, one reason is I don't want to inform a whole lot of crooks about guard dogs.
Yeah.
So,
I don't think we have too many crooks watching us.
no, we hope not anyway. We hope not. We'd rather have the higher clientele.
Yes.
But another reason is there's things that we do, or they do, or I used to do, that really have I've never seen people talk about it in any form of dog training, bite sports or police or anything else. And if I started telling everybody everything I knew, they just look at me, laugh, and say, "God damn, he tells tall tales." So I'm going to touch on one that I think, because judging from the conversations we've been having lately, this is what I call the unheard of drive. Got it?
I hope so. If not, talking like. Never again.
So, and I want to be clear, we're not talking, a drive. I believe in the scientific definition of drives. I'm not going to make up a drive. So this isn't a drive so much as it's a response. And it's the most important thing we got for a guard dog. And here's why. If you think you got a great off-leash protection dog, to think about what we have to do in this business, think about training a dog, taking him someplace he's never been, putting him in that yard, and then being able to guarantee that somebody else he ain't never seen, who slips in the gate, climbs over the fence, whatever, that dog is automatically just going to go and nail their butts at 2 in the morning. That's when you know you got a dog well trained. Because let's face it, why should a dog go attack a man who's 6 foot tall in a strange place that he ain't never been, unless he's really learned his job? And so that's where the unheard of, and this was a problem I faced when I started with my guard dogs. I'd had a few people that thought they were in that business, and I worked with them a little bit. And then when I started needing really tough dogs, when we got into Mexico and places like that, I found out that, they weren't so tough. They weren't so tough. So we know with at least with horses, with race horses, that you'll hear people say he just wanted to win, right? Scott knows where I'm going.
Yep.
Yeah, all right, now he knows where I'm going. When in the Belmont Stakes with the Great Secretariat, that race where he won by forever and ever, and they asked the jockey Turcotte what he just felt like running. We know that horses are competitive, mm-hmm. and they want to win. Mm-hmm. And we don't think about it. If you start playing tug of war with your dog, what's he do? Tugs back?
Mm-hmm. You better.
He better.
That son bitch.
Or else, right?
Yeah.
You're feeding him.
Well, I'm getting no dog.
Yeah, there you go.
But no, it's, you tug back, but it's a game, right?
Yeah.
And we play a lot of competitive games.
There's that word again. Uh-huh.
Competitive.
And
it wants to win.
he wants to win.
And you can see a difference in different dogs. Dogs that want to win, and dogs that are just going through the motions.
Right.
Because they'll all bite.
Sure.
But you bite. But when you want to, and the whole thing is, and it's not being a suit junkie or equipment oriented, because you can tell most of these dogs that are competitive will bite. But once the fight or the toy goes limp, they spit it out, and they come back and we're waiting. Firsthand, couldn't get dog bite like crazy. The minute that I'd stop or take,
Yeah. Yeah.
like what happened here? Is something wrong with the dog? He just stopped. But the more you fight and the more you agitate and the more you turn the pressure up, the harder he fights.
Yes.
And he don't back down.
Right.
They want to win.
They want to win.
Period.
That's and you can see, and it took me years to realize the difference. So let's look at it this way. You got all these people that have, the dog's got this. He's in fight drive. He's in pack drive. He's in 4-wheel drive. He's in all these drives that kick around.
There's defensive.
And
There's 2 drives.
Yeah. Yeah, Scout's Mutter, there's 2 drives, 2. We're going by the scientific, which is where the Germans came up with it from the scientists, by their definition. So what we're looking for in the average sports, or even in a lot of the police dogs, is a dog that's working, you hear me say this all the time, working with a team. The way that they fight is learned. Is learned. Everything that you see in any dog sport was invented by a bunch of guys sitting around that thought they were really good dog trainers, probably were, really good dog trainers, and thought up, we're doing Schutzen today. What can I get a dog to do that I don't think someone else can do? And I'm gonna put that into competition. And it rarely has anything to do with the way dogs do things naturally, right? Mm-hmm. Like their footstep tracking or their the blind search, where they go from 6 TPs to 1, and then they find the bad guy and sit and bark. And I'll never forget the first time one of the police officers, USPCA, in fact, I think he was the vice president at the time, we were watching a Schutzen demonstration, and he said, any dog I send into a building to find somebody, he better not sit there and bark. He better bite that son of a bitch, or he's dead. Because on the street, you don't want a dog who's going to go find a bad guy and sit and bark at him. You want him to take him out. So when we go back to guard dogs, we're talking about the purest sense of dog versus man. And we're looking for a winner. Because there's a good chance one of them couldn't survive if there wasn't a winner. So how do we get the competitive side in there? What separates it from drives? Well, first, you got to realize that drives, prey and defense, these are hormonally induced responses, right? Mm-hmm. And we can trigger with the right movements, we can trigger prey drive to make them want to go chase the rabbit and bite real full, or defense drive to make them want to stand their ground and crush bones when they bite, right? Scott can do that all day long, right? Mm-hmm. That's how you get the dogs to do what you want. How do you get them to stick in the fight and really, really, really try to dominate and kick this man's butt? Competitiveness, not a scientific drive. Competitiveness is an emotional response. Mm-hmm. So when hormones kick in, you can't help yourself. When you trigger prey drive, you're going to get a full mouth bite, period. When you trigger defense drive, you're going to get a more intense, harder bite, period. They can't help it. The hormones are making them do that, all right? When you get a dog playing tug of war with you, you're going to get him pulling back, but how hard? It just depends on how much he wants it. In other words, his emotions. So what you have to do with the guard dogs is learn how to bring up their emotions when they're fighting so that they they want to win. And therein lies the secret. And I got me some notes here. I got to go look at one. You want to see whatever. If I could read. So, if you don't think, no. So why do we have so many different phrases and terms, so many different ways for a dog to bite? Why do we scratch so many dogs and we say they can't do this or they can't do that? Do you ever stop to think it didn't have anything to do with the dog? You have the trainer or the agitator, and they're working the dog.
Mm-hmm.
What if, you want to get this dog up to a 39 level, and you with a tug, and you go in there and you're playing with a tug or jambier or suit or whatever, and you can only get him to a 28, 28, 28, and the head trainer looks at you and goes, that dog ain't got it, get him out of here. Is the problem the fact that the dog's only got a 28 level in him, or is the problem the fact that the agitator doesn't know about dogs but a 26 level? He don't know how to get those extra steps. He just doesn't know how to read his dog. What? And you, because I'm talking too much here, I'm going to throw it at you. No, you're not. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, what are you looking at when you start working a dog? Are you looking at the dog? Are you listening to the commands? I'll throw one at you. How do you make? There's a video. The video we got here, when several people have commented, like Harmony, when you're working with her, when she nails you, she wants to do nothing more than drag you to the ground and devour you, right?
Yeah.
How do you get that's competitiveness? That's not prey drive. And prey drive is full mouth bite, because when a wolf grabs a rabbit, he ain't got to worry about killing it. It's done, okay? That ain't defense, because in defense he's going to bite it really, really hard, and he's going to do his best just to kill it right then. But when they're fighting back and putting everything into it, that's because they want to win. When you're working with them, how do you get them more intense, Scott? I guess that's.
We went last week, eye contact, get them going, fire them up, work the hormones, work the bite. But when you're fighting them, you need to know when to fight them and when to let them win. You need to know when. You got to read the dog to say when, right? You don't just go 1, 2, 3, slip.
Right.
1, 2, 3, slip. And you do that a lot.
Yeah.
And that's when you're starting a dog. But once you get a feel for that dog and you start challenging him and you let him win, and then sometimes you challenge him more and you get it to where that dog's winning, but there's always a challenger between you.
Right.
It's like, he thinks he's going to win, but you don't let him, right? But he's going to win eventually. You always let him win. But it's how much pressure you put on him and how much you challenge him. When it comes to a point like Harmony, where you work with a dog enough and build a relationship with that dog, and believe it or not, I build relationships with dogs all the time. Mm-hmm. They're my sparring partners, basically.
Yeah.
Because I can get bit by a dog in the suit, and I'll go sit down, and the dog come over and look me in the face. And people can, how do you do that? I said, I don't know. The dog knows it's me,
Yeah.
But challenge. And she knows, and she wants to win. But I'm not going to make it easier on her. And that's not level 2 or 3 stuff. That takes a bit of time to get there. But younger dogs, you can tell to me, when you start them off, you can tell also whether. And it depends on the dog itself too. It's how much spirit does that dog have?
Right.
Emotional spirit.
Absolutely. Yep.
We said this is not a scientific drive. This is emotional.
Exactly.
So some dogs have more spirit than others. Let's just say that, or are more competitive than others. But it's like you said. I got some dogs that come out and had some decoys come out, and the dog wouldn't respond the way I wanted to respond. And they were doing everything they were supposed to do right. They were doing everything they were supposed to do right. but it's how do you do what you're supposed to do right and when you're supposed to do it.
Timing.
Yeah.
Yep. And so this is what I'm talking about, the trainers, the agitators who want to get a dog to a level 39, but they only understand up to level 24. I really believe that 85% of every dog that hits the ground, of like the working breeds, the terriers, the herding breeds, the mastiffs, I believe 85, 88% of every one of them are capable of doing everything you want a dog to do as a guard dog, as a police dog, as a personal protection dog. Unfortunately,
That's right.
the people training the dog don't have the same ability to read the dog and understand the dog.
Also, and people will say, oh, it's the handler too. The handler has all this to do with it. It does to a point.
To a point, yeah.
But when you start working off leash, it's all the handler's there for is to have good relationship with the dog, good obedience, and the balance with that dog. The dog understands what he wants him to do. But once the dog's off the leash, the dog has full control of itself. There's no tether on the dog.
Right.
So it's all got to do with the dog and the decoy.
Right.
But the handler's got to do what he's got to do in preparation to get to that point. See, we started 2 weeks ago with the steps of how to start. Then we're talking about contacts. Now we're talking, and understand this is not just with the damn puppy you just bought 2 weeks ago. This is with dogs that are actually, what I'm talking about right now is that have actually learned or ready for that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Now to build them to get the competitive spirit, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink.
That's right. Good point. Yep. Even better. Look at him doing all the horsey talk.
Damn right. I'm a cowboy. A Dallas cowboy.
A Dallas cowboy. Oh boy.
Not the football kind either. we win around here.
Yeah.
They don't win over there in Arlington too much anymore.
That's right. The real cowboy.
Talk to everybody I talk to thinks everybody in Texas rides a horse and wears a cowboy hat.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
We're being stereotyped out there. Anyway, back on the subject. But it's just dog competitiveness. And I've even told Butch when I started really getting into reading the dogs, I told him that dog. I said, why the hell is he doing that? I said, he's competitive, right? Because it dawned on me all of a sudden that dog had so much intensity, and it wasn't all just mechanical hormone biting. He was vocal. He was staring me down. He just like, you son of a gun. You can feel it. Mm-hmm. Those are the fun ones.
Yeah.
Then after the fight's done, it's like nothing happened. Poop. You'll back
Literally
out.
your sparring partner.
Literally.
Yeah.
They'll drop it and they'll back out and keep looking at you. But you can see they're actually into it on a personal level.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Butch can find that video when Scott fell to the ground and lost his balance, and Harmony came at him and she licked his face.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That was a great moment. Yeah, she had me.
He hates that moment.
She had me right, dead to rights, and she came over and looked at me and just looked me in the cheek and walked off. And I was like, we all fall on our ass once in a while,
And Harmony runs up to him and was like, "You took a 10 count."
Yep. Get back up, let's do this again.
Yes. So how do you? Here's what I mean by the trainers that can't really read a dog. When we started our canine corps in World War II, the dogs that they evaluated as possible, they called them sentry dogs at the time. Mm-hmm. And all the dogs in the original canine corps were donated from citizens. Something like 65 or 70% of all those dogs failed the bite test to see if they could make a sentry dog. Then the military, after World War II, hired William Kohler to come in and really organize it, because they've seen now the real value of dogs. And they started using his training methods, and he had thought it out and figured out ways to train the dogs, whereas they just put a dog in a bad position initially and tormented that sucker till he'd come out and bite, and then they made, oh, see, he did it. And then, of course, when he was not tethered, and they tormented him. He's gone. So Kohler started using emotions. He acts out like a suspicious person. That was the beginning in this country of reaching into the dog's competitive nature and making them want to win. For years and years, I was always, when I was a kid growing up with the coon hounds and everything else, Mr. Johnson would say, that dog, he doesn't grab that shank bone over there, better let him have it, old blue tick here, because if it's in a dog's mouth, it's his. Number one rule of canines. So you use that innate quality or desire in dogs to take that tug out of their mouth. So how do you know when a dog is fighting the man to win versus going through a prey drive bite or following just a command? And they can follow a command and look pretty good. One of the ways, to me, the most surefire way, and you see it in a lot of the videos of our dogs, a lot of the dogs that you'll see, especially when they're doing suit work and they're doing this bicep bite, they'll bite up here, and you can look at the dog. They literally will close their eyes. They're just chewing and chewing and chewing and sucking on that pacifier, right? And then you can see some of the videos with our dogs, especially the Western Shepherds, and they hit Scott, and when they do, Scott will challenge him with a big, long, hard stare, and you can see him. They look him right in the eye. And if you could drop a piece of paper between that dog's eyes and Scott's eyes, that dog will burn a hole in that paper. Because all he's thinking about is the man. Now, he's got this body part in his mouth, but it's in his mouth. And that man ain't going to take it. That's when you're bringing up competition. My favorite competition horse or story is a horse story, of course. Seabiscuit, one of the all-time greats. He had all kinds of breeding for all you pedigree people that think, oh, just look at the pedigree, look at the pedigree. You can't have a working dog without a good pedigree. Well, Seabiscuit, I can't remember if he was bull, I forget all his pedigree, we wouldn't know it anyway. But this horse was bred to be absolutely one of the best. And this is during the Depression, the 1930s, and horse racing was as big as football today. So they tried, he wouldn't win. He went through like 3 different owners and, I don't know, 4 or 5 years of losing. And he was a small horse. So most of these trainers chalked it up to his size. He's just not big enough, right? Finally, this man who never owned a horse in his life, but he had a whole lot of money because he was a real successful businessman. You can see the book Seabiscuit. It's a fantastic book. He buys this little horse, and he starts looking around for a trainer. And like a lot of people who know nothing about what they're fixing to do, he looked at it from a perspective that a professional would never look at it. And he started asking people around the track, for other owners, who's the best trainer you got for problem horses? And everybody he talked to brought up this one man's name, whom I cannot remember. And they said, he's the best. And the guy said, where can I find him? Oh, nobody knows. He's probably camping out in Colorado. He's kind of got some weird ways of doing stuff. And this old boy was he was real natural. I'm not going to go into all the stuff, but he took this horse who never won a race in 4 years and took him to an undefeated record for the next 3 years, and the biggest match race between horses, match race being 2 horses matched against each other, the biggest match race in the history of American horse racing ever, Seabiscuit versus War Admiral. If you hear the name War Admiral and you think it's familiar, War Admiral was the sire of a horse called Man of War, the first big red before Secretariat. And this trainer, working with a lot of strange things that no one had ever seen, like they didn't have starting gates, they just had a bell that would ring and the 2 horses would go, right? And he spent weeks and weeks and weeks teaching Seabiscuit to respond to the bell. He broke everything down into small increments and worked with what the horse had. And you can find that War Admiral versus Seabiscuit race on YouTube. It's a hell of a race. It's really, if you like horse racing, it's a good one. But dogs are going to have the same competitive edge as Seabiscuit. Seabiscuit started working with a trainer who first understood him, and then second, who he wanted to please. He had a unique team of the owner, trainer, and jockey. Dogs, I feel, are the same thing. I mean, what do you think? Are they fighting you, or are they playing a game?
It depends.
On what?
It depends what we're doing.
Can you manipulate that?
Yes. I don't see why not. You have to get him to bite better.
That's my case.
Yeah.
And they want to win, right?
They want to win. And it comes to a point where it's natural though.
Yeah.
They've all
It's a
got it.
reflex.
They've all got it though. But like I said, some dogs have more competition drive than others.
Right.
Then in that case, you just got to go to those other dogs. And you got to use what you got, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But if you can figure that out, you can pull the best out of that dog.
So it's all up to you, the human, to bring it out of the dog. And
And once they tap into it, there's no turning back.
yep.
It's nature.
Yep.
It's like, I wouldn't say human nature, but it's, you know,
It is nature.
yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to win, right? Everybody.
Everybody.
And nobody I know that's just happy being mediocre. Everybody wants to win.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
People,
cool.
the people I hang around with anyway. Maybe there's some of you out there that just don't care, but everybody wants to be a winner.
Right. And if you start watching the dogs, watch them fight, see where their eyes are, and you'll start to see, I think, more and more of what I'm talking about. Ask the people in the show ring, even those dogs standing looking pretty in the show ring, even they want to win, and they know when they're winning.
Yeah.
You know? So,
It's not always about pleasing the handler. Sometimes
Right.
it's self-gratification for the dog. Makes him feel good.
yeah.
You know, because, you know, a big thing is, I don't see a lot of people doing that. Or I haven't seen a lot of videos. The dog bite out,
Yeah.
out the dog, and the dog's taken off the field. You ever think maybe if the dog wins that last big fight, he does good, that you let him take the sleeve? I know the jacket's different than the suit, but take the tug or the whatever you're using to agitate the dog with, and he's biting, let him take it out to his car with him or out to the pen. You'll watch some of them pranks out of there with that toilet. They won the damn Super Bowl.
Yep.
And there's little mental things like that build that dog's confidence too in his competitive drive.
Exactly. And,
Little
and
stupid things like that.
one thing before we leave you, here's the secret. Nothing succeeds like success. Nothing. Nobody wants to keep doing something that they screw up at, but they want to keep doing it if they're good at it. So it's just what Scott just said. Take these little wins, give that sorriest dog in the whole state a little win, and next week bring him back and give him a little win and a little bit bigger win and a bigger win. And pretty soon you're going to see this dog who used to walk on the field going, oh, what's going on, chomping at the bit to get out there and train. And when you see him hit a man, it's not going to be biting and holding on while someone flings him all around like a sack of potatoes. You're going to see a dog who's going straight for a win to take that man off his feet and finish him off. And everybody can do it. It ain't no magic secret. You just got to be a little bit patient.
That's it. There's the word right there.
And you got to remember one thing, Scott. What's it all about?
Little victories. And it's all about the dogs. We'll see you all next week.
Thanks, folks.
Peace, love, and crabs.